All right, let's go ahead and bring in Dr. Rebecca Grant, a National Security and Military Analyst. Dr. Grant, thank you so much for joining the program. I want to get your thoughts on this. Just put this into context in the big picture. This has been going on now for over a month, and this is the first U.S. warplane that has been shot down. I guess it does bring into focus the real danger of this mission, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And this is an active combat zone. But Anita, I've got to say, this is no victory for Iran. Operation Epic Fury has established that air dominance and is able to continue to attack targets. You know, when we're looking at the area of the Khuzestan province here, if this is where the plane has gone down, this is both a marshy area and a mountainous area. There are a couple of Iranian airfields, a major Iranian naval base. And it could be that the F-15E is also really well equipped for doing some low altitude type of work. So when we talk about air dominance, that means that Iran doesn't have an integrated linked system that can easily hit at medium and high altitude. I'm talking 20,000 feet and up. But down low, our combat pilots know that you never entirely suppress the threat. Iran has a lot of man pads. These are infrared homing, man-portable systems. These are all things they've gotten from the Russians and the Chinese and systems that they've improved themselves over the years. And then simple anti-aircraft artillery is a possibility here. What we do know, I think, is that this F-15E, this is the workhorse jet of the Air Force. It carries a bigger bomb load than any other Air Force fighter. These F-15Es, we have a unit in North Carolina, a unit in Lakenheath in England, and they have been doing incredibly difficult work, flying lots and lots of sorties, really for years. They flew in Syria against ISIS. They've carried a lot of the weight of the precision attack of Operation Epic Fury. So, hopes go out to this crew member, this pilot, and then a weapons system officer was what the crew of the F-15E is. And as we know, combat search and rescue, we do not start an air campaign without that in place. And I think we're going to hear in the fullness of time about some truly heroic work in this search and recovery mission.
Rebecca, when you talk about sort of low altitude, what altitude are you talking, and what sort of operations would the F-15E be taking out at this point? Do they fly with other F-15Es? Would there have been a few of them there? And what precisely might they have been doing?
So we're in the phase, particularly in this part of Iran, which was the focus of some of the initial attacks. Now we've seen, the big bombers and others move out more towards the east, working industrial targets. But it's a possibility that this F-15E was working some of the remaining IRGC capability. As I said, there's a naval base in that area. They may have been making attacks there. There are Iranian military airfields. They're going after some of those persistent targets that are the last part of the target set that Admiral Cooper at Central Command is trying to work. And in some cases, you need to get down a little bit lower. And I'm talking, we're talking more than the below, just in general terms, the below 20,000 foot range. And that's where some of these other systems that aren't able to stop an air campaign, but they can be effective in those lower altitudes. And our pilots know that can be dangerous work down low.
Dr. Grant, as night falls there in Iran, and we've heard now this is now the #1 priority of this military operation is to rescue this other pilot. What does that look like in terms of manpower? Without giving away any national security secrets, but what kind of operation does it take to try to find this other pilot?
Yes, and I know Admiral Cooper will be very focused on that. I'm sure General Kane at the Pentagon is watching this closely, too. One fortunate thing, there were plenty of assets in that region. You look at the map there, and you're very near Kuwait, which could have pre-positioned assets, Iraq as well. The USS Tripoli, which has come into the region, don't know exactly where she is, but she carries a lot of assets too. And types of aircraft that would be involved here, you're going to have an on-scene commander. That may be another fighter pilot, maybe another F-15E pilot. And then your rescue assets could be your big MH-53 helicopters, the Air Force Special Ops CV-22, that is a tilt rotor that flies level like a plane, can also land like a helicopter, faster, ruggedized to go in and do that pickup. But I'm telling you, tankers as well, a lot of airborne command and control, every airman in the region trying to participate and help.
Wow. Dr. Rebecca Grant, thank you so much. You always provide us with a wealth of information. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the holiday weekend.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Grant. And stick with us for more coverage of this breaking story. We'll be back just after a quick break.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.